Hey guys, this is Introducing Emmy with another title card for SSoHPKC, or Seamus. This title card is for Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and at the time of doing this card, he hasn't even seen it yet, because I can't get a hold of him right now. And so yeah, we're just going to kind of wing this, and if this card ends up changing, I guess you'll be seeing one version of this card and then another version. So anyway, because of the nature of the armor in the game, I just went ahead and referenced directly from the box art, or at least like the main post art. I don't know if this was actually like on the box, I can't remember, but anyway. And I kind of lucked out because Seamus said that he probably would be a knight or a melee class when he played the game. So, you know, that's basically who's on the cover. So that's what I went ahead and did. And this one, I feel like I really rushed through. I know I say that for like every single card, but I don't know. There was something about this one that I felt like I was just like totally booking it, trying to get the card done. And I did end up getting it done in about like 3 hours, I think. I also think it was like the first thing I did that day. I was watching a movie while I worked on it. I can't really remember. But anyway. Also, I got a chance to draw like a really sweet skull on, what was that called? The pauldron, or the shoulder piece thingy. It has a sweet skull on it, and I like drawing skulls. Also, doesn't the helmet kind of remind you of like the Rocketeer? Does anyone remember that? The Rocketeer. So anyway, I went ahead, sketched this in Photoshop, and I also ended up inking it in Photoshop. I did all of it in Photoshop, so don't leave me any comments asking me what program I did this in, because it was Photoshop. I really like how the hand turned out, even though it's just kind of simple and cartoony. I don't know, I think it's cool. I like that hand too. I like all the hands. I also probably drew like the worst sword ever for this. I probably shouldn't criticize myself, considering well, I don't know if Seamus will ever see this. Seamus, I worked really hard on this, I'm sorry. Oh, and that's supposed to be like the axe that the knight uses in the art, the official art for the game. And I just put it on his back. So the coloring process I did sort of similar to the Devil May Cry card, where I sort of roughed out all these textures with different colors and sort of smooshed them all together onto one layer, and then went over it and like added highlights and lowlights and things like that to try to give it more depth. And that seemed to work out really well, considering how quickly I was trying to get it all done and everything. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at the finished card while I'm looking at the video in progress, trying to think of things to mention. I believe that I ended up going to a very top layer eventually, like one above everything, and adding some little like corrections and touching up the painting from like the very top, so I didn't have to like work on multiple layers or anything like that. Also, I think the armor only has like a hint of greenish turquoise in it. It's kind of like aged brass, but I sort of went a little overboard, which is like green. I don't mind it though. I think it looks okay in the finished card because the background is primarily red in the finished card, and green looks really good next to red. But you need to add like some other colors in, like browns and golds and stuff, to kind of balance it out so it doesn't look like too Christmassy, if you know what I'm saying. Also, one of the challenges for this card was that the logo for Kingdoms of Amalur is really long and like horizontal, and generally I don't like the title cards to look like that. I like it to be so that the character takes up like one side and the logo takes up like the top part of the other side, and then there's room to add the number, like the episode number. I couldn't really do that for this one. So I added some little magic all over the place there. some bluey powerness. I don't even know what to call that. I also made a copy of his arm to kind of block out where the effect ended so that you couldn't really see that. I used it to like cover the top layer. Put some sweet lightning bolts coming out from the sword. I like lightning bolts. I think they're cool. Here's the correction layer on the very top. So you can kind of see I sort of went over everything and made sure that it was tight where it needed to be and not tight where it didn't need to be. I also added some like hot pink as backlighting. And it doesn't look quite as pink in the finished version, but yeah, it's hot pink. I thought looked good. I realized after a while that I hadn't really incorporated any part of Seamus in this one, just because like the character's head is covered with a helmet. Also, this was like background stuff that I was kind of messing around with, but I didn't like the way it looked, so just ignore all that. Anyway, so I couldn't draw Seamus like with the helmet off and stuff because I'm actually doing that for another really similar card with like a knight and stuff, so couldn't do that. So I tried to add his YouTube username as sort of like runes with little sparkles and whatnot, and I originally added like curlicues all over the place and spirals, but I thought they looked too feminine. In the final version, that's not really what or like party favors almost, so I got rid of those and I just changed them back to lightning, like coming out of that, but you can't even see that in the finished